So today we are taking a deeper look into the detail aspect of our painting process. We're isolating this process and investigating how to approach detail effectively. Detail is one of the more challenging parts of the painting process and is often misunderstood. So much pain and disappointment and heartache comes from spending hours perfecting and putting every last detail in, only to get results that are underwhelming at best. My name is Richard, and welcome to my studio where we uncover the artistic journey. Today we are going to be investigating and taking a deeper look into detail and what role it plays in the painting process. For my demonstration, I've picked a photograph of a beautiful scene in the Van Galen district, and we are going to be using this as our subject. I've already prepared a block in for the painting so that we can move faster to the points that I want to get to. And yes, let us begin. I'm quite excited to begin with this one. There we have it, a beautiful scene. And I just love those reds caused by the masses of chilies growing in the fields. And I wish I could just have a few of those chilies now to help me clearing up my congestion, as I'm feeling a little under the weather today and I need a boost of vitamin C. Anyway, we never try to emulate a photograph exactly. When we use our references, just remember that a camera lens doesn't necessarily pick up all the colors and the atmosphere too well. We can say in most cases that our photographic references might be a bit hazy. So always keep that in mind with your own references. There's our block in, and I already took liberty with the artistic license and put in a warm haze of reddish pink in the sky closer to the horizon. And I've blocked in all the colors in a much darker value than in the photograph. You want to look out for those darks first. They will carry the light, and you will see in this demonstration just what I'm talking about. After the block in, using an odorless mineral spirit, I can now proceed with thicker paint and a variety of brushes in different shapes and sizes to help me create the marks on the canvas that I want. I'm using that angled sculpting brush to work the paint across, and I am using warmer combinations of color now. I'm also going deeper and darker where the painting calls for it. Using that sculptor brush, which is a brush with a convenient angle to it, making it maneuverable and versatile to create different marks and patterns. In the distance, I was scrubbing the paint on, and toward the foreground I was using a dotting and stippling approach, leaving gaps between the paint and the darker block in underneath. It is important to note that I'm giving a suggestion of the chili fields here, rather than literally painting every chili in. And there you can see how the dark underneath carries that light, giving us depth and cohesion. Also, I'm adding a little cadmium orange over that red, just to key up the value dynamic in my painting, and some greens in between to break up that large flat mass. Using a fine lettering brush, I create sky holes in that tree on the right, to create the illusion of light beaming out from behind that tree, and also to create the finer branches. I now proceed to break up the foreground shape using some yellow that I scrape on my canvas using the brush. I'm also coming in with some darker purple here and there, just to break up those value masses further and make them more modeled. The hoghair bristle brushes are good for making more textured marks in the painting, and they really create textures that stand out. They work better in later layers than in the block in, because their hard bristles really take up a lot of paint. We can begin now to use our lettering brush to create the taller blades of grasses to help with the contrast against the darker areas in the foreground. These lettering brushes requires a technique that needs patience. Because they take up so little paint, they need to be loaded up with more paint more frequently, and it might take many applications of paint to create an effect. Once again, use this technique sparingly. Sometimes I tend to get carried away when I use this technique and overdo it. I'm also using that lettering brush to add some highlights of yellow to that chilly field. We can see how by working in layers or in waves of paint, from the simple to the more complex, that we can actually control our details better. There's nothing worse than not to have a system to begin with. Some artists do use a method where they do everything in one go, but when you're a beginner, that method might not work so well for you. By using different brushes that we have different qualities, you can create effects that look like detail, but actually feels natural, just like the modeling process. And that is the secret to detail. It must feel natural, not forced.